So, Rob, I saw a political cartoon. It was like done in the style of the New Yorker cartoons, the black and white drawing. It might have been a New Yorker cartoon. I don't know. I saw it on X. And it's a guy standing up on an airplane, and he's saying, these pilots are out of touch with everyday American citizens. Who wants me to fly the plane? And the person had posted it and said, this is more applicable now than ever.
Welcome to 1850 Main Street. Come on in and pull up a chair. Today, Rob Walgate from the American Policy Roundtable and Alan C. Duncan, executive producer of the Public Square Media Network, are at the table by the fireplace.
What do you think about that? I have thoughts, but I want to know what you think.
Well, you know, I would say it's different in politics than maybe in an airplane, because the people that are flying the plane, they have one goal, right? Mm-hmm. It's to get on the ground safely. Get us all on the ground safely.
Yeah,
that's the goal. My thoughts on aviation doesn't play into how they're going to fly that plane.
Yeah.
However, my thoughts on policy, I do have a say in who's in elected office, whether it be at the local level, the state level, or the federal level. So but I understand the out of touch with reality part.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the people that were flying the plane in the Harris campaign, they were out of touch with reality, in my opinion.
Yeah. So you're calling the entire metaphor into question, basically.
I am.
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah. But again, that side of my brain doesn't work, or the artistic side, the
No, so don't sell yourself too short.
Maybe the cartoon side isn't applicable with me.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right to call the whole thing into question. My thought was, well, is the plane, I'll keep the metaphor going. Yeah. I'll take the opposite approach. If the plane was about to fly into a mountain, maybe I would take volunteers. If someone was flying directly into a mountain and you're telling them you're flying into a mountain, and also I'm going to need to see who else is on the plane. Maybe Maverick from Top Gun is sitting in the passenger seat, and maybe he'd actually fly the plane better. So I'm going to lean into their metaphor and say, we might be flying into a mountain as a country, and there might be some people on the plane who can fly better than the pilots.
Yeah. And again, you know, I understand again the analogy, but a lot of times before you get on the plane, most of the time, unless your spouse surprises you, you know the destination. You know where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
The final landing zone. So there's a lot to dive in and take from that, I guess.
So the reason I bring that up at all is because I think a lot of people are freaking out good and freaking out bad about some of the cabinet appointments that Donald Trump has been making. So that's what we want to talk about today. We want to pick a few, maybe 5, 6, 7 names or so. We're going to talk about a few of his cabinet appointments and just give a little bit of a breakdown.
What an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
But isn't that how politics is today? I mean, we should be more studious. We should have more discussions and more discourse, more give and take, and put the facts out there. Instead, we rely on emotion and propaganda to drive the train in many instances. And it can be frustrating. And both sides do it. Do it.
Sure. Well, that's one thing. We just came off a call with Dave, and he mentioned to us, we need to calm down about this whole thing. Like, people are freaking out and cabinet appointments.
We just get a Taylor Swift reference into an episode of You need to calm down.
Oh, you need to calm down. Yes. Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things. So yeah, so it's not the end of the world. Cabinet appointments, we can debate them. We can talk about whether or not we think they would be good for it. And we should, but it's not the end of the world if you hate them, and it's not the greatest thing in the world if you love them. So we got to keep it in perspective, I guess.
We do. And we need to come to the understanding it's not about people, it's about policy. That's what it's about. The policy should be what drives the train. And sometimes we get caught up in the personality or the person or the figurehead.
Well, and I wanted to read a little piece of the Constitution before we dive into it, because sometimes it's nice to remember why is this even happening this way in the first place? Some people are kind of framing this as like Donald Trump is taking over the country. And it's like, hey, listen, he's playing within the framework that's established by the Constitution.
He's doing what every other president has had the opportunity to do. I always found it interesting during the campaign when they would talk about the appointments that he was able to have for the Supreme Court during his first term. They would be like Donald Trump's hand-picked appointments. And I'm like,
how did you want? Yeah.
They were confirmed by the Senate, but who else was supposed to pick them? Like, what did other presidents do? Did they go, and just put a bunch of names in a hat and pull them out and see, hey, we'll go here, throw a little blindfold to a dartboard? How would you prefer they be picked? But
well, I mean, again, this is how elections work. The majority of voters and the Electoral College, popular vote and Electoral College vote, all selected Donald Trump to be president. And so now he's beginning the process of that. So,
and a president not too long ago made the statement, elections have consequences.
Sure.
Elections have consequences. The problem is the president that made that statement, he and his party aren't very happy with the consequences of the most recent election.
Sure. And I get it. Why would they be? But that's how this works. And so again, this is Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. This is just a reminder for us all what's happening. And he, the president, shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the president alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The president shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. So that's just a part of Article 2, Section 2. You're seeing that play out in real time. That's what's happening.
Keyword being consent.
Sure.
The Senate is going to have to confirm these appointments. That's the process that we're going to see play out.
Yeah.
That's the process we're about to see happen at the start of the new year.
Well, and some don't require. The chief of staff doesn't.
Correct.
So not all of them do. Well, and I guess now here's my question.
Secretaries, yes.
The Department of Government Efficiency. This is new, and this is one we'll talk about. Maybe we'll kick off right there. Maybe we start right there. DOGE, D-O-G-E. That's brand new. Does that require the Senate to confirm that because it's brand new?
I believe it does.
Okay,
but I've been wrong before. We're gonna have to check that.
Comments? Let us know.
Yeah. You're talking about. He said that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy would lead up DOGE, and it would be government efficiency. They're talking about having transparency, everything being online, being able to take a look at, what they do every year is take a look at, I believe it's Rand Paul that has during Festivus takes a look at government spending and how your tax dollars are wasted and what are the biggest waste. And he lists these things and you're like, why are we spending money on this? And I think you're going to see Elon and Vivek dive in and cut many of those things out, and they're going to report back. And the interesting thing about that, obviously, being Elon Musk, SpaceX, Tesla, Twitter, or X, now X.
Then originally like PayPal and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, from back in the day, and became a big supporter of Donald Trump. And I think it's very safe to say he wasn't one that was always extremely conservative. I wouldn't say maybe he's extremely conservative now. It's another example of how far the left has moved left.
Right.
And they've moved away from some folks. So the things he's talking about and wanting to do, he just wants it to be efficient. And then his partner in crime, Vivek Ramaswamy, ran for president, ran in the primary, and there was a lot of talk about, he's an Ohio resident. There was a lot of talk about him possibly running for governor of Ohio, which he maybe could still do, or replace J.D. Vance in the United States Senate. So
yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, the bottom line for this one, this is a brand new office, a brand new appointment. These are two really bright guys. Whether or not you necessarily agree with them politically or not, they're bright guys. Elon Musk is quite possibly the technological genius of our time with the things that he can do. And again, I don't agree with him on everything. I think that there are some concerns with some of the future implications of Neuralink. I've got some concerns about Elon Musk, but I think that
when he's in studio here, we're going to ask him those things.
Hey,
let's get him in.
You know
here.
what?
Let's get him in.
That may happen. But I have respect for him.
Yes.
I have respect for what he's been able to accomplish. I think it would be silly not to think that he's one of the brightest minds of our time and will be a world historical figure. It doesn't mean he's above reproach or criticism, but honestly, he's shown us that he can run businesses efficiently. So I'm very curious to see what he can do. I don't think, again, back to the analogy of an airplane. If Elon Musk is on the plane and you're about to fly into a mountain, maybe you can let him take a crack at this.
The dude could catch they caught rockets out of the air, or boosters or whatever was. Yeah. I mean, the stuff that his team has been able to do. And that's the thing that impresses me about him is, yes, he may be the figurehead, but the team he assembles around him to do the work has been amazing.
Well, just take a look at X as one example. He came in and slashed that by what, like 80% of the staff, something like that. I've seen figures like that, and it's running fine. Matter of fact, I just saw a report today. Advertisers are coming back onto X as well. Like people like Disney are coming back. That's something he's proven was not efficient. He made it more efficient, and it's having success. So I'm very curious to see what he could do in the government. I don't think anybody thinks the government is being run efficiently, no matter your policies. That would be an amazing poll question to look up. See if like some polling company has done that poll. We should look it up. But does anybody think the government's run efficiently? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm excited about that one. That's brand new. That's something cool.
Brand new. We're going to see some cuts.
Thanks for stopping by at 1850 Main Street. We're glad you're here. Do you want to learn more about what's really going on behind the scenes in public policy? Tune in to the Public Square on over 200 radio stations coast to coast, or download the free Public Square mobile app from your app store. Just look for The Lamppost. Find out what America's talking about at thepublicsquare.com.
All right, let's keep moving down this list here. All right, what about Susie Wiles as White House Chief of Staff?
Susie Wiles, been involved in politics her whole life, has ran some amazing campaigns, advised people through the years from the state of Florida, a lot of them. Susie Wiles, and I'm going to trivia question. Man, I'm going to put you on the spot. No. I'm sorry. I have to get ready to edit if we need to. Doing research. I didn't know this.
Okay. Well, I didn't know this. Why am I going to know it?
No.
Unless it's some sort of arcane
Susie
biblical
Wiles
history.
Is the daughter of...
Pat Summerall.
There you go.
Oh, okay,
I
did. I know church history or football. Maybe I had a chance. Maybe. Yeah.
Pat Summerall, NFL player, but more known, in my opinion, as a child of the 70s and 80s, as he was part of the duo with John Madden.
Yeah, commentating.
That every Sunday afternoon. Many of Americans. Great voice. Many Americans were able to spend time with. So that's how he knows. But Susie Wiles helped run Trump's campaign in 2024, and
which was effective. Whether or not you love or hate Trump, she helped execute an effective campaign.
She did. And the thing I liked about it is, we talked about this on a previous show, when it talked about doing social media or podcasts or what it was done, there was the people that were delegated to were people that were experts in the field. Yes. So you need a leader that's able to delegate as well. And it appears she's, everything. She's the one, I believe she's the one that tweeted at Mark Cuban, because Cuban took a shot that Trump's not surrounded by, I think he said, powerful women. They're nowhere to be around. And she's like,
we talked about this on a previous episode.
I'm right here. So I think there's a lot of people excited about that one.
Yeah. Well, and again, we mentioned before, first woman to serve in the role. Yes. Worth noting. Again, they didn't make a huge deal over it, but it's worth noting that I think that's a cool first.
To do it.
She's
very qualified to do it.
Yeah. All right. So so that one could be an exciting pick. What about Marco Rubio for Secretary of State? What are your thoughts on this?
Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, he wanted to be president at one point. Maybe he thinks this is another path to get to the White House. They're, you know, again, this isn't about people or personality as much as it is about policy. So what policy will Donald Trump be implementing to have Marco Rubio go and carry out and represent the United States to all these other places? That's going to be interesting to watch and see. I think that, you know, from everything it appears, there'll be, you know, he's willing to be an amazing part of the team. He's leaving the most exclusive club in the world. He's leaving the club of 100. He's leaving the United States Senate to take this position. But that also opens up something where Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida will now appoint someone to fill Marco Rubio's seat in the United States Senate. So right now there is a lot of angling and speculation about who's going to get that seat, who wants. There's plenty of people that have said they want that seat. There's plenty of people that said if they're asked to serve in that seat, they would. Some even with the last name Trump.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, there's a lot of talk and speculation. Will Laura Trump fill that role? That's been put out there in multiple places, and I think she's even addressed it.
That is fascinating. I think another thing that's worth talking about on this particular appointment is the fact that they'd been political rivals in the past. You know, and so this is I think a fairly good example of being able to kind of bury the hatchet and get to work together. You know, so people talk about Trump as being, you know, vindictive and things like that. And I know he rewards loyalty and this type of stuff. But this is somebody that they you know, came to blows politically, and now they're going to be working together. I think that's interesting.
They did come to blows a few times, but I also think Donald Trump realizes he's got a 4-year term and that's it. And history tells us if he wants to get a lot done, it's going to have to happen in the first 2 years or the first 18 months. Yeah. And I think that's why you've seen him hit the ground running and say, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. So I think everyone understands that, and they understand that when you look at the voters that voted for Donald Trump and some of these groups that they came from, I always hate, you know, talking about groups, but the groups that they came from that maybe weren't traditional Republican voters, to keep those people voting for the next person that would have that conservative angle, you're going to have to show you're able to deliver on some of the things you talked about. So I think that's what the team is looking to do. They want this to be a very long runway.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a sense of urgency. Like it does not feel like they're sitting on their hands. Like I feel like people want to see results.
It's go time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So next one, let's see. What about Matt Gaetz as Attorney General?
Matt Gaetz.
I'm sure you've got some
Never
thoughts.
heard of him.
Never heard of him. Yeah.
Matt Gaetz, he's already resigned.
Yeah.
From his seat in the U.S. House. He represents a district in Florida. So he will be replaced. And that will, you know, they want to keep that majority. They always have the majority in the House, so they'll be able to keep that. And they want to have someone in there quickly to solidify that. And,
that's some of the talk that he resigned so quickly because he wanted to give them that 8-week runway.
Yeah, he wanted them to be able to get in there and start with the new Congress and everything to go smooth. He didn't want to wait because, you know, you look at like J.D. Vance, as of this recording, he has not resigned his seat from the Senate, I don't believe, and he probably won't. So that'll play part in the process of how the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, you know, appoints someone. So, but Matt Gaetz, probably, is it safe to say the most controversial name that's been put forth for a secretary position?
There's another one on this list that's pretty controversial for some folks, but yeah, I think he might edge him out.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's been an ethics probe that I don't believe anything's been found out and discussed, but that's been ongoing. So there's that.
Well, that's the other reason floated that people say, did he leave? They're asking the question, did he leave or did he resign
to drop the ethics probe? You know, I mean, Matt Gaetz is obviously with the last speaker race, he can be abrasive. He can be loud. You're never going to leave a room and say, man, I wonder how Representative Gaetz feels about that. I mean, you're going to know how he feels about it. You're going to see that. Here comes the question is you need 50 votes, right? You're going to need 50. Is he going to get 50? I don't know. Is he the sacrificial lamb that's being put out there so they can say, well, we tried to get Matt Gaetz, but really this is a play where they have someone else they want in there, and they're able to say, well, you didn't give us Matt Gaetz, you can give us this guy.
That's
like
interesting.
Whether there's a second name out there to be AG that may be controversial as well. It's like, you know, when I was a kid and I wanted to stay out till midnight, I didn't ask to stay out till midnight. We negotiated down. I asked to stay out till 2 a.m. and then we found a way, and hopefully we met at midnight.
That's smart.
But is this a way to negotiate where, you know, you're picking the fight that you may not be able to win? Because you got Murkowski, you got Collins, you've got some others that have already come out and said, we're not sure about Matt Gaetz. So I don't know. Wow. This one's going to be interesting to watch play out. That will be for sure.
Well, what do you make of the allegations that have been brought against him?
You know, I mean, anyone can make allegations against anyone. That's the unfortunate part. When people see facts and evidence on the ethics probe, and hey, it's been proven.
The probe is still taking place, right? I mean, they're still going forward with it.
Listen, they're digging forever. I saw an interview with a woman that's in her 20s now about allegations from years and years ago. So listen, this is politics. And unfortunately in politics, personal attacks happen. And this may come as a shock to some. Some people even may lie in politics. I know, I know, but so I'm not sure.
There was also some reports that his father was being extorted. As well. So yeah, there's a lot of craziness that's happening around that. I feel like we should just kind of let's see where the dust settles.
Let you know, the cards will speak for themselves, and let's see if he ends up going through the process. I'll tell you what, if he is in front of a committee, that'll be some interesting questioning for sure.
Yeah. All right. How about Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence?
Tulsi Gabbard, yeah, there's another one. If Doc Brown would have showed up in the DeLorean 10, 15, 20 years ago and said, hey, get in, Tulsi Gabbard's going to be nominated as the Director of National Intelligence by a Republican president.
Wow. Yeah.
Would anyone have been like, no way? How did that happen? Again, is it an instance where the left and the Democrats have moved so far to the fringe left that the people left in the middle are saying, well, we have nowhere else to go?
I do think so. Well, and we were talking about this before we turned the cameras and the mics on today. I know a lot of people are kind of celebrating a red wave, so to speak, new mandate. That's one way to look at it. I know what I'm about to say. People are not going to like what I'm about to say.
I know what you're going to say.
Another way to look at this is, did we all just become 90s Democrats? Think about some of the positions that some of the people that are on this list hold. Think about some of the positions that even Donald Trump has talked about. He's basically always kind of been a 90s Democrat. Now, I'm not saying 90s Democrat's the worst thing ever.
Right.
But it's not like a lot of these folks are staunch, hardline Republican folks. So it's just,
I would even say it could go as far as the early 2000s. I mean, when you think back to some of the speeches that were given by then Senator Obama, or when you think back to the 90s with President Clinton and the things he said, or Senator Biden, and you listen to them talk about crime, or you listen to them talk about the border and immigration, and you're like, who are these people?
Yeah. They still had an understanding that you needed to have a secure national border.
I think Tulsi Gabbard loves the country. She loves the things
she has served this country.
Yes. She loves the things that Donald Trump is fighting for and stands for. So I think she's excited to be part of this administration. The other thing I think is Donald Trump is trying to assemble a team that will complement one another effectively. And I think people are excited to be on this team. Why are they excited to be on the team? Because they feel they can make a difference and get stuff done. That's the thing. They've all seen the people that he's bringing in, if they are part of the, air quotes again, the swamp, that some would make the accusations of, they're people that want to see the swamp dismantled. They're people that want to see it drained. And when you bring in someone like Elon Musk to do what he's going to do, well, they know things are going to get done, and they know they're going to move in that direction.
And I think that's why you see such pushback from some of these folks. It's not even necessarily who these people are. Now, some of them have angles that are being exploited and attacked, but some of this is just the swamp. I think the swamp's scared.
Elizabeth Warren, I believe, tweeted out when they announced Elon and Vivek that isn't that like the Republicans are that with government efficiency, having 2 people to do the job of 1.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
I'm like, oh, she knows what's coming. She knows what's coming, and she's trying to deflect and get away from it, but it's coming. And for some people and some folks that have made a living on a fat budget for no reason.
No reason. Yeah. There's so much waste.
And we're about to see it all. Yeah. And it's going to be exposed. And I think that's the thing. Like, why wouldn't you want, some people will then knock like Elon Musk because of the money and the fortune that he has. But wouldn't you, you have someone that's able to step in there that's built something from nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's talked about the days he had nothing. He's the American dream, is he not? Am I crazy to say that? I mean,
he's certainly one aspect of it. Yeah, I don't think everybody has to become a billionaire.
Yeah. There's not just one. Yes. There's not just one American dream. There's so many of them.
But that's an example.
But that's an example of one in one area that you can see grow. And I don't think, I mean, when you look at some of his early writings and some of the things that he did and built, I think it was to try and make advancements, not necessarily for personal wealth or riches. That certainly happened along the way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So Tulsi, that'll be interesting to see what she's going to do. All right. Let's see. Tom Homan as border czar. Yeah. I think if anybody's on X, they saw some clips go around of him. After
He's another man that bleeds red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
He bleeds for this country. He's served this country admirably. Some people say the things he says, he gets accused of saying things that are hate-filled. I don't view it that way. I view it as him saying things of passion for the American people. When I hear him talk about immigration, I hear him embrace immigration. The thing he has disdain for is illegal immigration.
Right. Well, I was hearing he was in one of these, Senate hearings or something, one of these hearings, and someone was accusing him of being hateful or something, and he was almost. It looked like he was about to get emotional. He was talking about, I love people. That's why I do what I do. About
holding a young child during, yeah.
He doesn't want to see drugs or humans trafficked across the border. And so to the degree that he's going to stop that, I don't see why the nation wouldn't get behind that.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Embrace it. And some people say, well, he's going to separate families. And because of, they're going to start deporting a lot of people. And, the parents, he talked about, he always gives the example of families could be separated the same way if an American citizen gets arrested for breaking the law, they're separated from their family. So those comments have been controversial because the left, and again, this is where people that were in the middle and wouldn't label themselves conservatives have kind of moved and shifted to be conservatives because they've shifted so far on the left, is the fact that people on the left don't think people that cross the border illegally should be charged with a crime. Right. Many of them don't think that should be illegal. And I mean, for safety and protection of this country, we have to know who's here.
Yeah, there's an exchange where he's talking to AOC about that, and she's talking about the fact that seeking asylum is not a crime. And he said, yeah, go to the port of entry to seek asylum, but you can't just come in. We don't know about you. So that was very interesting. He also talked about the fact, and this is was kind of like a little mic drop moment in one interview where people don't necessarily like to hear it, but a woman was asking him about deporting families, and he goes, well, we could deport families together, if
they'll be deported together. And a lot of them have used the fact they've come to this country and they've had children that are born in this country and claim citizen status because they're born in this country, even though both parents don't have citizen status. So the question does, often I hate the label anchor baby, but that's what a lot of people use the term to set that anchor down and try and get the parents then to be. And listen, there's a lot of people. We don't live in a perfect country, but we live in the greatest country in the world. People die every year trying to get into this country. Trying to get into this country, people die. They want to live out the American dream. No one's saying we should eliminate immigration.
No. But yeah, well, to me, it's one of these examples where it's been so out of control for so long, and you're seeing we do have a drug problem. because of this. There is human trafficking that takes place. And again, that's not saying that everybody that comes here illegally is a criminal in that regard or doing something. They are breaking the law. But you're going to get somebody like this guy that's more hardline if you've been so lenient. Like why wouldn't you just enforce the laws that you had for the last 4 years? If you would have just done that, but now we need to like make a hardline stand. That's what it seems like people are thinking right now. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Well, and they talk about, the border bill is often referenced. You don't need a bill put in place to secure the southern border. It's a constitutional issue.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that. So the fact that they say, they make it about politics, come on, that's laughable and a joke. We don't need bills to protect this country.
All right, so final one for today, Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense. He's the other one that I've seen a lot of controversy surrounding. The funny thing is, and maybe we'll talk about this, the funny thing is the way that the headlines talk about his appointment. It's like Fox anchor going to be Secretary of Defense. And it's like, well, he's a Princeton and a Harvard graduate and a veteran, a 2-time Bronze Star veteran. Like, at least say that, like in the headline. So
another person that bleeds the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Read his books. Listen to his speeches. Listen to him talk. What he loves and what he cares about is this country. And more importantly, the people that put their lives on the line to defend the country. I mean, he goes in depth and talks about how he wasn't permitted to do certain things because of tattoos that he has.
Oh, yeah, he has a tattoo of the Jerusalem cross, which is an ancient Christian symbol, perhaps dating to the 11th century, but really popularized kind of in the 1400s during the Crusades. And so people don't like it. It's from the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And so it is an ancient Christian symbol. It is not a swastika. It is an ancient Christian symbol, just so people are aware.
It is "We the People" tattooed on his arm. And again, this isn't advocating, well, if you have tattoos, that means no, but his actions match up with his words on the things he says and the things he's done. And the number of tours he's done, it's just, I mean, he loves the country. You can find interviews about him all over online. Obviously, he talked for a living. That's what he was being paid for. But he and Trump had a conversation, I believe, a few years ago, and Trump said, asked him about, well, people don't like you. Why is that? And he said, because they're comfortable in the bureaucracy. Yeah. They like the bureaucracy, and I'll fight for the individual.
That is one of the things that I think is holding all these names together that we said is they have said that they want to fight the bureaucracy. That's a common denominator of a lot of these names. And I think that's what a lot of Americans are excited to see. We're trillions of dollars in debt. Inflation is crazy. Cost of living is out of control. Our education scores are not where they're supposed to be. We're actually considered one of the least healthy countries by a lot of metrics. I mean, even NBC and CNN report that. And so if your plane is flying into a cliff, maybe you do need some people that are coming in that are going to cut some of this bureaucracy.
Well, a couple we didn't get to that we will. You mentioned education.
Yeah.
There's been talk that the Department of Education from a federal level is going to be dismantled.
People are going to lose their minds.
That is yet to be seen. I believe it was created in the late 70s under Jimmy Carter. I've seen reports that said we used to be #1 in education, and since the creation of the Department of Ed, we're in the 20s.
Yeah.
So,
well, your wife's a public school teacher, so you know that world a little bit.
A little bit, and education plays a role. And I also think education happens at its best when it's controlled at the local level. What does the federal government bring to the table or the equation? A lot of people start throwing their phone or their computer right now and start screaming about money. You're losing. You're losing. If we're talking about money, you're losing it. It's about the children. That's where the focus needs to be. It's one of the things that fires me up the most. It's about the kids. So we haven't talked about that. And one that'll probably take a whole show to talk about. One that'll take a whole show, obviously, is the nomination of Robert Kennedy. RFK Jr. as HHS director. There's so many things on so many different angles. We will spend, I don't know if we'll spend hours, but we'll spend a lot of time with that discussion.
The conversations are just getting started. To get connected, check out 1850mainstreet.com. We don't data mine anyone or sell your information. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single conversation. We'll see you next time here at 1850 Main Street.